All right, let's call this meeting to order, please. Let's stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Got a motion by Councilmember Henry.
I'll second it.
Second by Councilmember McKnight. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Sorry, just trying to, okay. Let's see. Number 4, community comment. So we're calling this something a little bit different, but just want to make sure that everybody knows that all are welcome to speak. So if you have any comments that you want to make for an item that is not on the agenda, this is the time to do so. Anybody? Right. Presentations and reports. We don't have anything. No public hearings this week. Which brings us to the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent. Excuse me. I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
There's a motion by Councilmember Mock.
I'll second the motion.
Second by Councilmember Sayer. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. All right. For new business, the United Properties Concept Plan. Ms. Smith.
Thank you. Mayor and Council, tonight we are reviewing a concept plan for United Properties. So a review of where we are in the process. We're essentially at step 1. The council previously has reviewed the annexation for the property that was at the January 7th City Council meeting. So that was the first step, but now we're moving into the planning process. So concept plan, Planning Commission reviewed at their previous meeting, February 21st. You're seeing it tonight. And the rest of the steps are kind of up in the air at this point. So we'll continue working with the development team to hatch out dates for preliminary plat, rezoning, and final plat. As a heads up, it is anticipated that rezoning, preliminary plat, and final plat will run congruently together at one meeting. Since it's one site, this is something that we typically do if it's just one building that's coming in for the project. So these dates will be filled in as we continue through the planning process. A bit of context of where the project is located. Right in the corner of Highway 212 and Jonathan Carver Parkway. So it's directly east of the new D.R. Horton Meridian Fields neighborhood, directly north of Carver Elementary, with access off Monroe Drive, which is being constructed with the Meridian Fields neighborhood. So some details. At a previous meeting, we started talking about some really big ideas about this project, and we're going to dial in a little bit tonight. So thinking through this first concept plan that we saw showed a few locations of potential pads that could be built. Tonight we are continuing to talk about the yellow bubble, the gas convenience user, directly off Monroe. So the areas in pink, subject to development, the ponding, subject to change. Everything tonight is just for feedback, discussion. If you have questions, comments, feel free to give them both to me and then some members of the development team so we can start working through this process with some good feedback from the City Council. So going from the colored bubbles on the first page to this is a more technical planning document that shows the layout of the gas convenience user. So you'll see it has direct access off Monroe Drive. It's a 9,700 square foot gas convenience user. And the total site area for that is roughly 1.87 acres of a total of 30 acres. So thinking about it, it carves a pretty small chunk off of the overall property, directly off Monroe Drive. So some questions are probably going to come up about traffic in the intersection and how we're working through that collectively. So if you remember through the development of Meridian Fields, a lot of this information was talked about at that point. So we started thinking about Meridian Fields and the United Properties piece kind of together, thinking what they would do to the intersection of Spring Creek, which is further east, and Jonathan Carver Parkway. So a traffic study has been submitted along with this concept plan. We're reviewing it right now at a staff level, but something that has been determined is that a temporary intersection will be required for this gas convenience user. So at that time, it will likely be pole construction, and then when the Jonathan Carver Parkway full project moves forward, it will be that permanent light across. So as part of this project, a temporary intersection will be required. So this was a good example that Meridian Fields had the traffic study, did not trigger the full requirement of the traffic light, but the gas convenience user and the information that we know about it does require that light. So if we dial in a little bit and start thinking about access, you can see Monroe Drive, and then the gas convenience user is proposing a quick right on Monroe Drive, roughly 300 feet from the intersection, and then the full intersection a bit further west. So that intersection was contemplated with the Meridian Fields development too. So these two go really hand in hand when we think about Monroe Drive. So again, a quick right into the site gets people off Monroe Drive into the gas pumps for the gas convenience user, and then provides some additional site circulation.
Ms. Smith, can you clarify, is that quick right the private roadway, or is it kind of the hyphen in the middle of the diagram?
So the dotted line that goes up into the gas convenience user, it follows that line.
All right, thank you.
Yes.
And is that where the temporary signal is, or would the signal be Jonathan Carver Parkway, Monroe?
Correct. Jonathan Carver Parkway, Monroe. Also would control Spring Creek as well. So the development team has provided some elevations of what the gas convenience user could look like. So you'll notice that the car wash is connected to the building, so part of that 9,700 square feet is in addition with the car wash. The Planning Commission reviewed again at the February 21st meeting. Overall, the discussion focused on the temporary traffic signal. There also was a good comment from a commissioner that as part of the Fleet Farm project, there was a requirement that 60% of the city's water through a car wash needs to be recycled, which is actually a city ordinance that I hadn't contemplated at the time. So it was a great reflection by one of the commissioners to bring that up, to say we did it for Fleet Farm, we should move forward in that same way. Overall, the Planning Commission was supportive of the project, just had some general questions about access, what the intersection is going to look like, but overall, we're excited about the project. So again, this is a time for discussion. No questions are off limits, ideas are welcome, both to staff and then a couple of members of the development team, both from United Properties and Westwood, who the project manager are here tonight for some specific questions if you have any.
I have a specific question about can you go to the detailed layout of thank you. To the north of where the gas pumps are located, can you describe what those icons are there? I understand, there's 5 rows of gas pumps underneath a awning. I don't know what you'd call.
Those the
a roof.
tanks?
Those are the tanks?
That was my guess.
Is that what they are? They were, I couldn't see a label, so I just
Talking
didn't.
about the rectangles, like there's 3 and then the half?
Yes. Yes.
I'm zooming. Yes, I would agree that they were the tanks.
I didn't know if they were different, if they were
You guys have the answer.
Yes.
Go ahead.
There's no chair there.
So it's,
Good evening. My name is Bruce Carlson. I am Senior Project Manager with Westwood Professional Services and kind of taking the lead along with others on the development team. But with me here tonight is also Keith Alstead, who is Senior Vice President of Development for United Properties. Keith, you were here at the annexation meeting, I believe, and I wasn't. I was at the Planning Commission meeting. So those icons there are surface levels, in the asphalt where the tanks are filled up. So
Okay.
the trucks will pull up and then fuel the tanks from there. So they're
Okay.
flush with the asphalt of the parking surface.
perfect. I just didn't know if it was another structure of some kind above
Yeah.
ground.
Good question. It's not labeled. You're right. Yep.
And then one other question I had, I recently was by the Chanhassen Quick Trip off of 212 and 101, and noticed that they had some outdoor picnic table areas adjacent to their building. Is there any planning for something like that? I'm just thinking this is a community gas station, right? It's going to be amongst a lot of residential. I can imagine people coming there and wanting
Well,
to
first of
maybe-
all, we haven't announced the user yet, so.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
The gas convenience store. I
Yep.
just-
So that would be, we would note that. So what I would do is I would take that comment
Okay.
down.
It would be nice
And
to see
So
such,
you would like to see some.
adjacent to the building, some
Yep.
sort of outdoor seating or tables
Yep.
adjacent to the building.
We can definitely pass that along. Because along with all comments, the eventual user here would purchase this lot. So the development team is just setting this up for a sale on it and for platting, so preliminary and final plat. Want to make sure that it works and fits for a gas and convenience user.
Yep.
There.
Okay.
I have a question and a comment. Has it been vetted with having the car wash as far as any noise concerns, being close to residential, or maybe a limited hours would be recommended? And the only reason I've thought of this is I'm a little familiar with a project in Shakopee where there was a business that wasn't allowed to have a car wash because it was, however, whether it was an ordinance or just resident feedback, but whatever reasons, it came down to that they couldn't have a car wash. So we made sure we're okay on that.
Would you like
don't
me
mind.
to address that?
Let me start.
Yeah,
and
go
then I'll
ahead.
pass it over to you. So something that was really beneficial to this development and Meridian Fields happening kind of congruently at the same time was that we were able to contemplate the site being used as a commercial user. So with that, we required D.R. Horton to do some pretty extensive landscaping on the Meridian Field side of the development. If you'll remember, they added a pretty thick swath of trees along the east properties to create a buffer to this site. So that would be one of the first ones. That was if we could have timed, I don't think we could have timed it any better, that Meridian Fields is under construction right now, that no one will be living in a house there and then suddenly have the surprise that, oh, there's a gas station and there's a car wash. So with these two happening side by side, I think there's some good visibility that people will understand that, yes, there are some commercial users behind me, but D.R. Horton has created this buffer that hopefully will mitigate some of that. So that was something we contemplated collectively with both of them together. Go ahead.
I guess I would add to that, it's hard to see on the plan there, the context of it, but the car wash facility would be probably over 400 feet away from just Jonathan Carver Parkway alone. And then you'd have Jonathan Carver Parkway, and then there already is buffering to the east along that with, if you drive down Jonathan Carver Parkway, you'll see large coniferous trees, fairly tall, 25, 30 feet tall, all the way down Jonathan Carver. And I believe it'd be about the same distance to the west as well, and then screening has already been provided for that. We would want to, for whatever user goes in there, have the opportunity to service first, second, and third shift workers there. And we think it's a good place to do that in this particular location. So we would want to have the ability for extended hours to service all residents and workers in the area.
Glenn?
Yes. On the, well, either map, along Jonathan Carver Parkway, there is the proposed access. Is that going to be added later off of Jonathan Carver directly into United Properties and not going down to Monroe?
That will be added when the county does their improvements to Jonathan Carver Parkway and not before. It has to be built with the right turn lane. If you're heading south on Jonathan Carver Parkway, there'll be a turn lane there. And I think with grading, and there isn't any intention to do any mass grading to the north of this lot right now until the county starts their improvements. And I've heard different dates on that. We're meeting again with the county this Thursday to talk more about timing and also about the temporary signalization for Jonathan Carver Parkway in Monroe and Spring Creek.
Thank you, Bruce.
When we're looking at the quick rights in, we have the corner of Jonathan Carver Parkway and then Monroe Drive. So we have that quick right in. I'm going to make the assumption that that open lot there is to hope to be someday developed into another business. So would we then still be routing traffic up and around the gas station? So if you came in that way, your only opportunity to come out would be on the private road to the left, and that would be your out of the area? Is that it? Yes?
That's correct, yep.
Okay. So the right-hand turn lanes that are coming into, oh, I'm sorry, that one. So you can turn right there and left there coming out.
Yep, the right turn lane, there's two rights. One's, the far western access point will eventually be the main drive for the entire development. And the right-hand turn before that would alleviate pressure off that intersection.
On the coming in part of it.
Yeah. So not everyone would have to go all the way down to that intersection. So it'd take away pressure there. Also make it convenient for residents and users in the area. The same is true for the right-in. If you're heading south on Jonathan Carver Parkway, eventually there'll be a right-in there conceptually. And in the previous traffic study that was done when D.R. Horton came through, that was key to alleviating pressure on the Jonathan Carver Monroe intersection as well. So those two are real helpful for traffic flow.
Right. My next question pertaining to that then is, once this grows up more, do we have any idea how many buildings we think we might fit in there, an estimate?
So at this time, not knowing the other users, no. So United Properties will be working to find the end users of the site, depending on who they identify that might be willing to come to Carver. It could vary. It could be one large user that takes up a majority of the site. It could be several smaller users.
Okay. The reason I'm asking is because if we have a lot of right turns, which is alleviating some of that County Road 11, but when we go and we're funneling them all out in the same space onto Monroe Drive, what does that future look like once those large businesses come in? And then we have one out, so now are we creating ourselves another problem here? We're alleviating the one coming in, but we're already gonna have a stoplight here. I'm just trying to peer into the future as to what kind of traffic we're going to expect with people trying to make a left coming out of that when you have multiple businesses in there.
Sure.
Do we have any idea what that might be for the future, how we would control that kind of intersection and make traffic flow a little bit better so people can actually get out?
Sure. So to that specific question, I don't know if I can speak directly to what the businesses might generate, but Monroe Drive is constructed as a collector street, so there will be 2 through lanes moving west, and then to get back onto Jonathan Carver Parkway, there are dedicated right and left-hand turn lanes at that light. So without knowing the users, I do think we will have adequate flow, so stacking won't become a huge issue, but it is something that we will need to talk about as we continue to identify users on the site.
Okay.
Can I add to that just a little bit? So the one thing to think about that might be nice is the western access point is a T, so there's not 4 entryways, there's not 4 roads. So there's only the one coming out. So that helps. So you don't have traffic hit from the north because the school is there and the kind of the nature walk and the wetland areas there. So there'll never be another road coming there. And then the other thing to remember is that there's plenty of depth. So we have this advantage of plenty of land and plenty of depth for stacking. So we anticipate that it'll work well. Now, the traffic study that we did is specific to this particular use because that's all we have right now. And, that's all we've had for a while here as well. So it's anticipated that as new users come, and we don't know who those are, that we would look at traffic and traffic studies at that point as well.
So is it the intent as we grow west that Monroe Drive as a collector then, how far are we from what we're hoping to have the next overpass? over 212. I'm just really concerned as the houses grow up to the west, and as we keep growing that way, that we are going to find ourselves in a little bit of trouble with people trying to come out of this area. I'm not saying I think this is a bad project, I think it is, but I just want to have a little foresight into saying, like, we might be creating a little bit of a traffic issue with people trying to get out of this business with only one left-hand turn coming out.
Sure, that's a fair comment. So the overpass isn't anticipated. It's about halfway between 212 and 40, if we could ballpark the general area. So it is a ways west from this location.
Okay. My only other comment then is that we have talked about having lighting that is congruent through town. So I want to see if there are possibilities that we can have some of our light fixtures that we are trying to help unify around the city added into this.
We have a city spec that we can send to you for the lighting.
Yeah, I think, I haven't seen that spec but I conceptually, we would be open to that.
That's all for right now.
Okay. The questions that I have deal with the orientation of how it is. So, Erin, can you forward to the slide that has the elevations? My question is the front elevation, is that the east side of the building?
Yep, so the front door faces east.
Okay. So then with the left and right elevations showing the entry and exit of the car wash, will the car wash then be running north-south instead of
Car wash would be
east-west?
running north and south, so you'd enter from the north and head south through the car wash.
So not like how it is pictured in the, yeah, not at the north side of the building, running east-west.
I believe, it's hard for me to see, but the way that it's supposed to work is that you would come in to the car wash around the north, but this particular concept plan might have it to the south. One thing I would say about this is that this is concept only.
Yep.
So the user will be coming back, and I think generally they will use this particular layout with the pumps on the east side and the car wash on the west and the front door facing east.
Okay.
But I'm not exactly sure where if you drive in the entrance from the north or the south in the actual car wash.
Okay, so pumps will be in the front of the building.
Yep.
The car wash will be in the back.
On the west, yep.
Okay, so not this concept. Understanding it, we're still at concept
Well, this
level.
particular concept does show the pumps on
Yep.
the east side.
But it shows the car wash at the north.
Yes.
Okay. So then my question, so I'm looking at this larger picture years down the road once the site has built out a little bit. And my question and just kind of my feedback was the location of the pumps on the east side versus having them on the west side. Because I picture a day where most folks can get in directly from Jonathan Carver Parkway, and that the majority of the traffic kind of feeds through the private road that's in the very preliminary concept mapping plan. And for me, it seems like that would be a little reversed the way it is right now. I understand that private roadway is not day one when this convenience store and gas station open up, but I think a little bit further down the road, more folks will be coming into that property from the west side, potentially on their way home when they're running other errands, and that to have the pumps on the east side of the building seems like it's a lot of driving through the parking lot to get to the gas pumps.
I can say this, the gas and convenience user that we've been working with has turned the site plan around 25 different times. And we took out the ponds that are by the road, we put the ponds back in. We've pushed it south, we pushed it north. There's been a lot of different concepts that have been looked at. The reason that they tell us that they like this particular one, it's
Yep.
the most welcoming as you're at the intersection of Jonathan Carver Parkway and Monroe, which that kind of is kind of the gateway or kind of the opening to the entire development. Maybe consider the front, we would consider that the front door to it. So having the front door that way is welcoming. Also, they're very cognizant too about traffic in their, in around their operation and keeping the front door safe. So I think one of their main concerns is how traffic works and comes in and moves around, around their front door. And I think when they come through, they can speak more to that. And I think we'll have a chance to have that discussion.
Okay. I certainly understand wanting the orientation to where you'll get the most eyeballs on it. I just want to point out, I think with the topography of that site, and I'm sure that there'll be some grading, but I think the way it sits right now, there's a little bit of land between that site and,
Yeah, there's a hill.
path.
Are you talking about there's a hill?
there's a hill.
Yeah, so that will, that land area will be graded for ponds.
Okay.
Those ponds aren't in yet, so a big portion of that hill will come down on the corner. And then eventually that will all be graded to work cohesively for stormwater.
Okay.
There's going to be a large pond to the northeast and one to the west.
Okay.
So it'll be all pretty level.
All right. Those were my question. Go ahead.
Aaron, I know that you're not the engineer and you're not the traffic study person, but maybe if you have any insight into this. So the northern part of the private road that leads, I guess it has the quick right that comes in, and obviously in the upper, could you go back to the one that has the other map that has the color? There we go. So the purple, the upper left purple quadrant, looks like that is possibly going to be slated for more business.
Correct.
So if and then we have the proposed right in. So depending what were to go in there, do we see that there's any possibility to have a proposed just right out on that upper part to keep traffic from having to come down and like through the development and into the development and then taking that Monroe Drive out? Have you ever seen something like that?
So what would the right out access onto?
Onto a 11. So it's the right, they have the right in coming down 11 now.
Yes.
But let's say you were leaving, would they have just a right out?
Got it. Likely no, based on the county's spacing guidelines. So to have the right in and the right out that close together, it's not anticipated that the county would permit two access points that close together.
I'd like to add to that comment as well. I think the development team would like to take a look at that. We've talked about that before, and again, it just comes back to the traffic study and engineering and spacing. But certainly, if the county would allow it and the engineering would work for it, we would not be opposed to it.
I just think it might be something if we can take a look into that and have some discussion with the county on that. It might relieve a little bit of that traffic from these businesses coming straight down onto Monroe Drive and causing a little backup with trying to turn left there.
Yeah, it's kind of like the intersection at, in Chaska on 41 and north of Hunter Mark and north of, what's the other one? Pioneer, where the Dairy Queen is.
Yep, there is a right in and right out.
There is a right in and a right out there.
That's true.
Anybody else?
I did. I had some comments and a question on the sidewalks portion. So in the packet, there was information about, it's under the street access sidewalks. Utilities will be extended for Monroe Drive, and a sidewalk will run the length of the property. Is that the length of the, like on the south side, the 30-acre length of the property, or just the project that you're presenting the concept plan for?
Right now, the street would be improved this coming spring and summer. And so that ultimate design, and then are you talking about a sidewalk on Monroe?
I'm actually asking where it would be, and it
What
says
I
along the length of the property, so I would think
think
Monroe
that
Drive.
means Monroe,
Okay.
yes.
And then, is that just in front of the gas convenience, or would it go the whole length?
It would go the entire length when they build the street out. They, right from Jonathan Carver Parkway to the west,
Okay.
all the way. And then eventually I think there might be planned a trail on Jonathan Carver Parkway, but would be,
On the north, running north-south.
Correct.
Thank you.
Yeah, as the plan, the concept evolves, I'd like to see that there's connection to our trails and continuity with
yeah.
adding our sidewalks. Because a comment on, it talks about the underpass. I'm not very comfortable with how it references that there is an existing underpass near Oak Tree. To me, that's a significant distance. I don't know exactly how far, like maybe 400, 600 meters. But I feel like it's kind of hard to, I don't feel comfortable including that as making this proposed development accessible, because I feel like that's quite a distance. And I do like that there's the idea of a new one, but I'm not comfortable with, we don't know if that one's going to really happen. I mean, maybe if it just even said potential underpass. But until we know for sure.
I guess I'm confused on the underpass. Can you clarify that?
So there is an existing underpass a bit further south on Jonathan Carver Parkway near
Okay.
the Oak Tree development. And then as part of the Jonathan Carver Parkway project, there is one contemplated at Cherry Circle, which is just south of Spring Creek Drive on the east side.
Well, as a development team, we'll take a look at that. We have been focused on the gas and convenience user right now. And so definitely take a look at the underpasses that you talk about and see what effect that can have.
Thank you.
So just to be clear, when we get to the preliminary plat, it will include the gas convenience, the yellow, and it will also include all of the orange private roadway?
No, it
No.
won't include all of it
Okay,
because there will be no connection to Jonathan Carver Parkway
okay.
on it.
So it'll be a partial of both roadways, because there's,
Yeah, you'll be able to head in, so you could go into the western access road,
okay,
but you'd only get as far as the gas and convenience, and it would just, the street would end there.
okay.
And part of that strategy is not knowing the eventual users for the rest of the site to leave it
Understand.
open.
Okay, I just wanted to be clear to kind of see what we were expecting.
Yep.
Do you have a sense of, I know we haven't figured out the timing for this gas convenience piece and the development plan, but do you have a sense of how far away we are from any of the other lots? Is it 6 months? Do you think a year? I don't know. Do you have any sense of how quickly we might see the others?
Yeah.
You can get out your crystal ball. if you want to.
I started working on this in 2006 with Keith, so
Okay.
hopefully I won't be retired. I'll still be. Do you want to talk about that? I'm not comfortable talking about timing unless you, Inkle.
Okay. Okay.
You know, the first one's the toughest. I mean, once there's rooftops, there's a school, there's gas convenience, I mean, we're hoping and predicting that it'll get easier. But
Okay.
we'll get some wind in our sails. But,
Maybe a different way to say it is this way. We wish we could come forward with multiple users because a lot of the questions that everyone has would be easier to answer. I think what's happened is the D.R. Horton development and the fact that Monroe Drive is been approved and is halfway under construction and ran into wintertime. That's why you're seeing this user come, and I
Okay.
think a lot of people are going to be watching and waiting to see if that is really going to happen. And then when that happens, I think my prediction will be that more will come.
Okay. Thank you.
What about timeline for this project?
Yes. So we would like to make application for preliminary and final plat to make it to the May 6th meeting.
Okay.
And then we would like to contemplate grading, June or July, and then seeing if we're able to deliver a usable pad to the user in October or
Wow.
November. Now, they might wait, no, I don't know what winter conditions are nowadays, but we'll see.
They're harsh
Yeah.
this year. They're harsh. Right. Do you have a question?
Yeah, I had to piggyback on Joy's comment about the private road on the west side. When you dead end it, will you still have access going to the east, to the north side of the properties, over and connect over to where the other north-south entrance is?
Yeah, and I believe so. So, and then that's some of the tweaks we'll do. So, getting this feedback, we haven't laid down all the property lines. We'll meet with staff to kind of to figure that out as well. But it would be our intent to have that road finished to the north side of the gas and convenience for easy access around the north side of it.
Got it. One footprint at a time, right?
Right.
That's all I got.
We're done. We're done. Any other questions? All right. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you
thanks.
very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thinking back about what I said, again, I'm Keith Alstead with United Properties, and I've been living this for a long time. But one thing I will say is there are a lot of users, not big, I was going to say big and small, but mostly small, have come over the years, and it's never been possible to start with one because Monroe Drive didn't exist, and
Right.
D.R. Horton wasn't there to help pay for half the road. So it was like, we'd love to put a fill-in bank, daycare, whatever, but we can't do it because it takes a big road. So I really do, just kind of rewinding the tape a little bit of what I said, I mean, I really do think that that this will be a start of something. Maybe, we'll be back yet this year, I believe, with the next user. And, it's a kind of project where, a daycare, a bank, a coffee shop equal one grocery store. I mean, I don't know what we're going to get first or what order is going to come in or what they're going to look like. I'd love to be able to share that with you tonight so we could all kind of, clarify our crystal ball a little bit. But it does feel like it's starting now with the improvements that we're asking to do here and working with the staff here to kind of fine tune and look down the road and hopefully we'll be able to answer your questions with more clarity. And one thing to remember, as Bruce says, like every user like this, I mean, they have to come in and get your blessing for their particular site plan and where their layout is. So we're basically just kind of trying to assemble a building block at this point, and really appreciate your questions and thinking about this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Keith.
Did you folks have any questions for anybody? No? Okay. All right. Moving on to item 9.2, Planning Commission appointment. Mr. Merrick.
Mayor and Council, a vacancy on the Planning Commission has been created with Dana Hardy's resignation. In the memo to the Council, you'll see the current roster of Planning Commission members. In February, the Council interviewed a number of individuals, residents, looking to serve on the Planning Commission, ultimately selecting Cindy Monroe and Reed Welch to serve. However, Anna Dingler and Krista Goodell interviewed, but were not selected for appointment. Since the interviews happened relatively or just happened this few weeks ago, we're recommending the council to forego additional interviews and select either Anna Dingler or Krista Goodell to serve as second alternate on the Planning Commission.
Just so I'm clear, we had appointed Reed to second alternate. He moves up,
Correct.
and now we're looking for a new second alternate.
Correct.
Okay. All right. So we interviewed everybody a little more than a month ago. And the choices are Anna or Krista. I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to appoint Krista Goodell to the Planning Commission as the second alternate.
Okay, we've got a motion to appoint Krista Goodell by Councilmember Sayer.
I'll second that.
Got
I
us.
had some good notes from our interview with her. I was impressed with her previous experience on planning commissions.
Okay, a second by Councilmember McKnight. Any further discussion?
I'd just like to say I'm still impressed with the group of people we had come in and apply.
Yeah, totally.
It was amazing. It's fun when you have this qualified group of individuals that basically you can't go wrong with a decision. So, thank you all.
And I'd like to say, as much as I'm happy that we have an opportunity now to give somebody else an opportunity to serve on the Planning Commission, I also want to just take a second to thank Dana Hardy for her contributions to the Planning Commission.
I
She was
concur.
really
Yeah.
an
Yes.
amazing member of the Planning Commission. So, with that, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right. Welcome to Krista.
All right.
All right, moving on to City Council communications. Joy?
I don't have any updates, other than I won't be here at the next meeting.
You won't be.
I will not be able to attend the next meeting. It's my only update.
My update is I was able to attend a League of Minnesota Cities conference that was geared just for newly elected officials. And
That's a Freudian.
so I appreciate the city's support and just encouraging me to learn in the role, and I really feel like it'll help me in the role. So excited to implement the things I've learned.
Good.
Where was it held at?
This one was in Brainerd, so it was other newly elected officials from all over the state. A lot of small towns tested my geography, but it was just really great collaboration, and that's all.
Okay. Two quick things. From one League of Minnesota Cities event to another, almost 2 weeks ago, Christy and Brent and I participated in the League's day at Legislative Day at the Capitol, where we participated in a conference in the morning, and then in the afternoon we spent some time with Representative Jim Nash, and we had a really good conversation with him in context of our levy, where he was very supportive of offering his assistance for anything we might need. So I'm really optimistic as we're pushing that forward, and it's kind of coming up a little quicker than I had anticipated, but it's all good stuff. The other thing was late last week on Thursday night and Friday, we were all here doing our strategic planning. It was a lot of time in this building, a lot of together time, but it was time really well spent, and I just want to thank everybody who participated in that. It was, not only did we learn a little bit more about our colleagues up here, but also those on staff, and then we came up with what I think is going to be a really good, exciting, solid plan for the next 2 years. Chrissy.
Okay. Yeah, so the strategic planning session was great. Thanks for everyone who helped set that up too, because that was a lot of work on staff's end. And then just reiterating what Courtney said, that we spent our day at the Capitol, and we did have a very encouraging meeting with Representative Nash. So looking forward to more discussion with him as we move forward. My only other question is, Aaron, do you know if we're going to have an HPC meeting this month? Oh, caught you off guard.
I'm going to suspect no,
Okay,
but that's TBD.
okay. Thank you.
Glenn?
We had a planning commission meeting, my first one, and we went over the United Properties concept, and everybody was excited about it. And we also discussed the small cell, where was it?
Wireless.
Small cell discussion for the lights. So that we got going, and then, yes, the strategic planning 2-day event was very thought-provoking, very intriguing, and it's very inciting for what we're going to have coming down the next 2 years. And Dana Hardy, I can't thank you enough. You have been a remarkable member of our planning commission for as long as she has been. She will be missed, but we have a lot of great people to fill in, so good luck in your new adventure. That's all I got.
Right.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Oh, I was going to give everybody
I
else.
forgot you wanted to go through staff, sorry.
That's okay.
Let's table it.
Never have anything anyway.
Vicky? Brent? Aaron? Back row? Okay, all right. So we have a motion to adjourn by Councilmember Mock, who really
I'll
wants to get out of
second
here.
that.
And a second from Councilmember Henry. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Good evening.